Hey everybody, welcome to the KetoMom page. My name is Stephanie. This is my amazing husband, Steve, and we have...
How amazing?
Amazing.
Okay.
Like the most amazing
stop it.
there ever has
Stop
been
it.
and ever will be.
That's
an amazing husband.
pretty amazing.
All right, so as you're tuning
Is it
in...
because I work a lot?
Well, we're going to talk about the spoke that has to do with your work. Are you so excited?
I'm ready to go.
If you've been tuning in, you know we've been going through different spokes in your life. So spiritual spoke, financial spoke, friendship or relational spoke, physical, talked about that yesterday, physical spoke, and your work spoke. And all of these areas make up your entire life. And if something's broken, like a wheel. If one of them is broken, it affects your entire life, right? Mm-hmm. A wheel doesn't work if it's flat. So as you're tuning in, if you're like, what in the world are we doing? All of the past lives from this month, you can go to ketomomsecrets.com and you can watch all of the other lives. I would encourage you to grab the book if you are or have been seeking out just the question, what am I called to do? Like, why am I here? What is my purpose? If that has been on your mind for the last maybe your entire life, or maybe recently you've just been going, I've got to be here for more. I know I was made for more. If that has ever crossed your mind, and I really hope that while you're here and maybe your goal is for fat loss, I really hope that you understand that it's more than just fat loss that you're called to achieve. We talked yesterday about the spoke of our health. So it's important to take care of your body, but these 30, 50, 70 pounds, whatever this health goal is for you, isn't like your sole purpose in life.
It's good.
Right?
It is.
So,
I got a phone call. I'll call him back.
We are being adaptable today because we have 5 extra kiddos in our home. I'm not going to say if you, we would love for you to pray for some of our friends. They have 6 incredible kids. They're some of our very best friends. And one of their kiddos is in the hospital with appendicitis. And it's like, not just like appendicitis, like really, really bad. So they are in the hospital with their son. It could be, we're believing it's not going to be as long as the doctors say it is. And we are being adaptable in our life because we have 5 extra. So we've got 9 kids in the home.
Faith in action. That's beautiful.
I don't know if you've ever heard the saying AQ, right? Adaptability. How well is your adaptability quotient? And so I'll tell you this. My goal for the next 30 days has been, I went to a women's conference. This is kind of a side thing. And she gave us a goal of, for the next 30 days, writing down what you're thankful for. Every day, no matter what, when you get up, to get your mindset right. So today, I wrote down, I'm thankful that we're adaptable. I'm thankful that we get to work from home so that we can take in or we can help people when they need it. I'm thankful that we have a big enough home so that all 9 kids can sleep. And I'm thankful that we can provide them food and shelter and fun while our best friends take care of their other child.
It's powerful.
We're adaptable. Anyways, we're going to dive into work. Is there anything that you want to say before? Do you want me to tell them what we're talking about?
No, I love this topic because typically this is the one where people are just like, I have to, right? I have to do this work.
How many of you got up and said, I have to go to work?
I mean, it just makes me think though, no, we get to, for one. And if you don't love it, we're going to talk about all of these things.
Yep.
But it just makes me remember, like, when I was 15 years old, I was doing construction work with my good friend, Justin. And how many of you, let me know in the comments, how many of you have ever done a job or you're in a job currently? What was it that you didn't want to do, but you had to do it? I'd love to know. Like, what was that job? So for me, it was construction to make me realize this is a job that I was doing at a younger age that made me realize I appreciate it so much that I don't want to have to do it for the rest of my life.
But I bet you learned some valuable lessons in that.
I think in anything in life, both the good and the bad, you can always find lessons from it. Even like as we're walking this certain thing out with our friend right now, I had a great conversation with our daughters, and it can give you perspective.
Right.
Life, and when life's every single day, the good and the bad,
right.
The things in the middle. Like we do this thing in our family called high, low, buffalo. What was your high for the day? What was your low for the day? What was the buffalo? But all of those different areas, the good, the bad, and the unexpected, they all can be used to help you gain a better perspective.
Yeah, I love that.
But I think we should probably get into why work life is so important.
All right, I loved what he said. So he says, life is filled with important questions. For example, why do they make lemonade with artificial lemons flavoring but dishwashing detergent with real lemons? Why isn't phonics spelled the way it sounds? And why do you press harder on the remote control when you know the batteries are about to die? Here's another question, he says. If God put everything on this earth for a reason, why are so many men and women trudging through their workday, watching the clock, waiting for the day to end, waiting for the week, the year, their entire life to end? And at the end, I hate how he says this, but he says, at the end, I have a heart attack 3 months after they retire.
Okay, so
I really don't like that.
It's so true. Okay, you want to know why that happens, though?
Because it makes you feel sad.
Well, maybe. Here's the reality.
No, I mean, like, it makes me sad to say it.
Oh, yes, I hear what you're saying. But I have known a lot of people where they gave up every aspect of their life because they worked so hard for the concept or the idea that someday, by me working so hard, I'll have both time and money when I retire.
Right.
And then I'll be able to do all of those things that I gave up, like spend time with my family, like take care of my health, like
I'll do it later.
Be stress-free, like get a good night's rest, like take care of my health or my relationships, all those things. But the reality is, because for such a long time, they did not focus on it, because I can guarantee you the people that I can think of in my head, their work life was all that really mattered. Everything else came secondary, third, fourth. Like, it didn't really matter because it wasn't a priority. When they got to that wonderful time of retirement, their body was taxed.
Right.
They were so stressed that that's what happened, is they had a heart attack. They died. And it's so sad.
It makes me sad. So here's what he says. He says, whatever your situation, if you enjoy your work or you don't enjoy your work, right, mainly it's like if you have to, when you get up and you're like, oh, I have to. He says, without a Chazown for your work, God's gift of life to you is likely to turn into one big exercise in grinding your teeth every single day. And so basically he's going to walk us through. He says there's different seasons of life. And he really does say this. Some of you feel stuck. Some of you, number one, are in a position where you love your job. And so somebody asked him, he said, Pastor Craig, I went through your Chazown book and I actually love where I'm at. And he said, what am I supposed to do? And he said, celebrate.
Right.
Be happy where you're at.
So
like,
good.
I've thought that before, and I'm like, I love where I'm at. I love staying home with our girls. I love homeschooling. I feel like our family is in the Chazown of what we're called to do. So Pastor Craig said, I want you to amplify that. Don't get stuck. Don't just sit. Like, there's always more to do in the position that you're at. So number one, celebrate. If you feel stuck, he said, look where you're at right now. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't get stressed out about it. Don't be like, oh my goodness, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. He's like, you can learn from everything. So he shares a whole bunch of jobs that he did. And he's in the ministry, and Pastor Craig Groeschel and his family have one of the largest churches in the world. I actually think it is the largest church in the world. In the United States.
They just don't talk about it.
They don't talk about it.
Numbers can work for you. They can work against you.
But what I mean by that is, like, he said, if you know his story and how he walked out his calling to ministry, he actually had a whole bunch of people tell him he wasn't called to ministry. He wasn't good enough. He shouldn't do that. He went down the sales route for a while. And everything that he did, he just said, you know what? I knew where I was called, but I wasn't called there yet. So he got up with a purpose and a plan. He's like, I know where I need to go. I'm going to take every situation that I'm in and I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to learn from sales. I'm going to learn from being an assistant. I'm going to learn from these things, because I know that when it comes to the point where I'm in the Chazown that God has put me in and he's called me to, I have all of this experience that I don't know why, but I'm going to use it for the future.
It's so powerful. I mean, think about it in your life.
Right.
All of those areas where you've learned something or you've been able to model because you've been an apprentice somewhere. Or you've had good work days. You've had bad work days. I saw a comment on there that says, even on the fishing boat, we have our good days and our bad days.
Hey,
even like with these dogs, sometimes they run, sometimes they walk. But you can always learn.
Yeah.
And I really think it boils down to a matter of perspective. And it also comes down to like where your future mindset is.
Right.
I mean, so many people get so stuck in the past. It's time to pull your head out of the past, and we got to start focusing on the future. And what kind of a future do you want to create?
I love that. So that was kind of the basic part of it. I'm not going to read everything. There's so many great things to read. Honestly, the book is incredible. I would highly recommend grabbing it. But he says, okay, if you want to know what you should be doing, what are you called to do, That's what we walked through the entire book.
Right.
We wrote down your core values. We wrote down your spiritual gifts. Like if you've been doing the exercises, you maybe wrote down some experiences, good or bad, in the past that has got you where you are today, because that's what you're going to do. You've got your purpose statement. He says you've answered the hard questions of, if money was no object, what would you do? That was the first question he asked you to write down. And the second one was, besides ministering to those who are most important to you, what is the number one thing that you believe God wants to accomplish through you? And he said, dream big. So if you've answered all of those things and you've gone through and you've actually taken notes and you've written down why you're here or what your values are, that should lead you into truly where you're called to be.
So good.
It takes courage.
It does. And just because where you're at today, usually where you're at today is from the decisions that you've made in the past.
Right.
But now that you maybe, hopefully, our hope is that you have a new awareness that your future can be brighter, can be better. Not saying that it's bad right now.
Right.
Right? But allow yourself to dream. Don't let anybody steal your dream. Like, you were created for a purpose, and it's okay to dream big.
Right.
Even if you're surrounded by a bunch of people who say, oh, that will never work, that will not happen to you, best of luck, I would challenge those people and say, just watch. Be consistent. Be patient. Do the right things every day. Make the right choices. Put in the right habits.
Right.
I mean, what do you think, out of everything that you've gotten from this book, how are you applying it to your life?
I honestly am truly celebrating. I'm super thankful where our family's at, but it was years and years and years of hard work and learning. And I'm honestly taking this and I'm creating more of a vision wall of where our family wants to go. We've done vision boards before, but I don't have them up. So that's something I feel like I need to do better at. So I've been journaling, writing things down in my journal, being grateful. And I said, I need a wall that everybody can see so we know where we're going. Because when your vision isn't in front of you, when you don't know where you're going, it can just seem like it's kind of out in space. You don't know where it's at, or like you have an idea, but it needs to be in front of your eyes. And so my goal is to get a vision board up in right smack in our living room, like our living space, so that we can see it and other people can see it. And having a victory or a remember wall to remember the things that God's brought you through so you don't forget.
So good. So, if anything, it's because we have our remember wall. Like,
Well,
we have our piece of paper.
we have a piece of paper, but it's not actually
And
hung
I've
up.
noticed over the last couple of years, it's like it gets less and less.
Because it's not in front of us. Right.
So if anything, it's reminded us of the importance of the things, of doing the things that we knew helped to get us to this point
Right.
in our life. And then also remembering that it's okay to double down and we can make things even better.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of cool. Like, there's some things that Stephanie was saying. She said she's journaling. She's being intentional. That means she's being intentional about journaling. I think that's one of the most important habits after reading and listening to so many different books. And then, I mean, really, truly successful people in the world, they spend time to journal. They spend time to think. They spend time to reflect.
Right.
So I'm really proud of you that you're journaling.
Thanks.
I'm so glad to see that. And then it's also cool because if I were to take this phone and hijack it and run into her bathroom, it's pretty cool to see what she's did on her bathroom mirror. She's put a whole bunch of goals and basically like her vision that she sees every day while she's getting ready.
Yep.
And I think it's so important. So maybe that's an idea, something you could implement is create that. So over here on this wall, as soon as we get this thing taped, mud, and painted, it's going to be a truly like dedicated wall towards creating an unbelievable future and all of us stepping into our ideal self.
Right. I think it's super important. One of the last things he talked about in this book was, if you're not familiar with the Bible, you might not understand all of this, but if you are, I think it's easy to think about the Bible stories as you grew up as a young kid, and you hear of like David and Goliath, you hear of Jonah and the whale, you hear of Moses bringing the Israelites out of Egypt. Like, you hear of these incredible stories of these incredible heroes and men or women of God, but what people don't truly realize if you don't dig into these stories, whether it's a biblical story or it's even the CEO at your job, or it's the mentor that you watch online, right, is you don't know the years of hard work they put in, or you don't know the years that they saw the vision, but they actually didn't have it, right? Something super small is like David, King David, who wasn't a king until he was old, right? But he was a shepherd boy for years and years and years. Or like Moses, who fled Egypt, and I think he traveled around for 40 years before he went back and did what he was truly called to do. I want you to understand, like, just because today you might go, I'm too old, I've missed the boat, I should have done this years ago, it doesn't say that there's no reason why you can't go after it today. Like, you're not counted out. It's not too late. It's never too late. And so you need to understand that everything you've gone through, you need to look at it as an experience and as a learning lesson, and you need to figure out where you're going.
So if you're not dead, you're not done.
Yeah. And it still could be another 10 years.
10 years of greatness.
Right.
Of learning. Greatness is a process.
Greatness is a process. So that was the last spoke of your life. If you take your life and split it up into different areas of things that you can work on to realize that all of the areas matter. And especially when people are on here and they're focused on their health spoke, one of the things I really can't stress enough is going, okay, if you're constantly eating, if you're constantly feeling like you can't get ahead in your health area, I would really highly recommend you look at all the other spokes in your life, your relationships, right? Your finances, your spiritual spoke, and your work spoke, because one of those areas might be broken to where it's causing you to eat. It's causing you to stress out. It's causing another spoke to fall apart. So it's not just, oh, I have a bad habit. There's probably something triggering it that you need to address more than just a bad habit.
So good. So if you received some value from this, our hope is that you receive some value. We're going to see the hearts. I'd love to see you share this with a friend who you think needs to hear this message. It's so important. Sharing is caring. And this community is something that it impacts other people. We got some really cool text messages yesterday from some people who've been really impacted in a positive way. And so I just want to say, I don't know how they found KetoMom community, but they found it more than likely because you invited them. So just know that those invitations do matter. Sharing is caring. And then our hope is that you really, throughout the last couple weeks, you've truly discovered your purpose and God's purpose for your life, that you're not just wandering out in the world being upset and frustrated, but that you've got a little bit more clarity, that you got some more peace, and more importantly, that you're excited about the future that you get to create. I
love it. So tomorrow we will wrap up this book, and then we get to start a new book. I'm looking at all the books, and I'm like, I don't even know what we should go through. So I'm going to pick one and start it, and then you can always grab it.
If you got recommendations, put your favorite books in the comments.
Yeah. So thank you for tuning in. We truly appreciate it. We are going to go keep 9 children busy for, I don't even know how long. It could be days
We're just taking
one day at a time.
Moment at a time.
Yeah. So pray for our friend. His name is Brody, and he needs your prayers. So for healing and quick healing and wisdom for the doctors. So thank you. We truly appreciate it. Have a good day, and we'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Have a great day.